right, folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. I want to talk to you today about some tips on how you can become more prepared or improve your homestead for $0. That's right. A lot of people right now are struggling because of just the state of everything that's going on. And even those that may not be necessarily struggling financially, a lot of you are kind of holding on and not, spending frivolously because you never know when something big might happen and change. Crashing dollar value, you might lose your job. You just don't know. So a lot of people are not doing a lot of spending that they don't have, which is a smart thing to do when it comes to just about anything. So I wanted to bring you some ideas to hopefully get you thinking of how you can become more prepared, improve your homestead for no money whatsoever. I want to mention, once again, for you local folks here in the Ozarks, or anyone that's willing to travel to this place, we are having a local meeting on the 21st of this month, which is this coming Sunday. As of the posting of this video, it will be this coming Sunday at 2 p.m. It's in Texas County, Missouri. I'm not going to give the exact location on YouTube because, well, you never know who watches. But if you're wanting to come or you want to know about it, see if you can make it, shoot me an email and I will gladly send you the information of where we're at and what's going on. It's going to be open to everyone. It's a big building, so there should be plenty of room. There's already numerous people that's committed to coming. Family friendly. There's a playground outside for kids if the weather works out for that. And we'll have some light snacks, coffee, tea, and cookies or something like that. We've got a class planned. A lot of it's going to just be networking, meet and greet, so that everyone in this area can kind of get to know each other. And then we'll also start putting down some ideas for future planning and organizing and the things that we need to kind of start building in this area and infrastructure for us prepping homesteaders, stuff like communication and things like that, and eventually bartering, trading networks. So if you can attend that, you're more than welcome. That's March 21st. It starts at 2 p.m. In Texas County, Missouri. All right, so let's get into this. A lot of this is common sense, and some of you are going to say, well, goodness, I already knew that. But maybe some of you didn't. And if nothing else, I'm hoping to kind of spark your imagination, because a lot of the things that we do surrounding this whole prepared homestead idea is that it doesn't always have to cost money. You don't always have to spend hundreds of dollars on freeze-dried food or tractors or guns or whatever it is. Some of the things that you can do to become more prepared and have a better self-sufficient homestead is just free. And the first one, and I think this is the most important, so I'm going to put number one first. We're going to do, I guess, it doesn't really matter what order, but I do believe this is probably the most important thing you can do that's free. And that's learn skills, increase your knowledge. It doesn't cost anything. We live in a world where as many of us don't like what's going on with the internet and how it's being used. The flip side is that there is a vast amount of information. You don't even really need to go to college anymore to learn skills. You go to college anymore so you can have a piece of paper to put in a frame. But you can learn everything that you go to college for. You can learn it on your own online if you put your mind to it. Even Elon Musk has been saying that. So you can learn virtually every kind of skill possible between online and books. There's no excuse anymore. There's just none. And so there's a vast amount of skills that you can pick up and learn. And even if you only have the book, the mental knowledge of it, and you don't actually have the practical skill of doing it, that's definitely better than knowing nothing at all. But you can watch videos and learn about how to do something, and then go out and practice it. Things like sewing. Sewing used to be such a common thing. So many people knew how to sew. And now, well, very few people my age and younger really know how to sew. And it could come in big handy someday. Canning, preserving food, This is something that every one of you should know, how to preserve food, not just canning, but preserving with salt, preserving with smoking, preserving in various different, dehydrating, various different ways to preserve. Bushcraft skills, bushcraft and survival skills. You know, when's the last time you went out into woods like this and built you a fire? When's the last time you built you a fire without using modern fire starting, tools like a match or a lighter? When's the last time you did it without even, a ferro rod? With like flint and steel or a bow and drill. When's the last time you went out and started a fire right after it rained when everything was still wet? And right now it rained again last night, all night long. And so everything is still damp. And when's the last time you tried to start a fire in these conditions? It's not easy. I do it every once in a while just to kind of put my skills to the test, and I'm telling you, it's a lot harder than you think. When have you, gone out and built a shelter out of just what you find out in the woods? If you have nothing with you. When I was younger and we would go out and do survival camping, we would go out and we would only take what would fit into basically something the size of a sandwich bag is pretty much all we would take, which consisted of like a candle and a pocket knife and some fishing line and a hook and things like that. And we would go out and we would survive for 2 or 3, 4 days in the woods. Have you ever done that? Knot tying, lashing sticks together. This is stuff that you need to know. Small engine repair. Small engine repair, you can learn a lot online with small engine repair. Small engine repair is not difficult. It's tedious, but it's not difficult. It doesn't take a lot of special tools because you're dealing with small lawnmower engines and stuff. So you're not talking about, rebuilding a big diesel cat motor. You can go to yard sales a lot of times and pick up, lawnmowers that don't work for $10 or something like that. Pick one up, bring it home, and see if you can get it working again. That's a good way to learn how to do small engine repair. And if you do that, you become important to your community, important in a prepping community. You can, earn a little money on the side, and you can also improve the tools and stuff on your property. You can find garden tillers that don't work anymore for really cheap, and you come home and put a little time, a little bit of money into them, and you have a good garden tiller, that kind of stuff. Hide tanning, this kind of goes along with the bushcraft and survival, but I put it separately because this is a really big time lost art. There's not a lot of people that are making leather and that are tanning hides to be used as clothing. If you're in a long-term SHTF, there's certain things that you're going to start running out of. Your shoes may wear out. And if you don't have access to another pair of shoes, what are you going to do? Well, if you knew how to tan hide pretty well, you could make you a good pair of moccasins. And I know some of you may laugh at that, but man, I've worn moccasins for years. And if you know how to make them right, they're every bit as good as a regular shoe and usually more comfortable. First aid. Everyone should know at least basic first aid. You don't have to be a trauma surgeon, okay? I think everyone should have close to an EMT basic level of first aid, at least close to that. You can go a lot of times at used bookstores and thrift stores and find the curriculum that people that go through paramedic training or EMT training or even nursing training, and you can find them super cheap. I see them all the time around here. And I'm not saying it's as good as going to an extra school. So for those of you that are EMTs and paramedics and nurses, do not, lose your mind. I am not saying it's the same level of training. I'm talking about at your home, on your property. This is the kind of stuff that you can learn. I'm not saying you can use it on other people. I'm not giving any kind of crazy medical advice, so all of your attorneys don't, start, looking me up. What I am saying is that a lot of the stuff that and I know I was an EMT once, a lot of the training that they receive of the basic first aid, wrapping up a wound, setting a bone, things like that, are just basic field medicine. And you can learn that on your own for your home, and it can save a life or make things a lot better until you can get to a hospital or an ER or something. So this is the kind of stuff you can learn. Other things that go along with sewing, like knitting and spinning wool, things like that. These kind of skills you need to learn. These skills are not hard to learn, and most skills are free to learn nowadays. The only thing that you need to learn a skill is the motivation and the discipline to actually do it. So there's not really an excuse. All right, that's number one. That was a long number one. The other one, number two, foraging. Foraging for food and medicine. Do you know how to go out here? And right now, I mean, things are just starting to green up. I actually saw today the very first daffodils blooming. And there may be some spiderwort, and there may be some violets possibly blooming out in these woods. I haven't taken the time to go look. If not today, they will certainly be blooming, I would say, by this week, with the amount of rain and the warmth that we're getting. Do you know how to go out in these woods and find medicine, or on your property and find medicine? Do you know how to find food? Do you know what's edible? You may not be able to find enough to completely live off the rest of your life on the land, but you could certainly find enough to supplement your diet, especially with very healthy things. A lot of the wild foods, because they're wild, they're much higher content of minerals and important medicines that your body needs. For instance, wild dandelion leaf and stuff. It's a lot better for you than, say, just plain old romaine lettuce. And so what you can do is you can certainly supplement your diet and increase your overall health. Finding things like walnuts, wild berries, and things like that. They're very good for you, and you can supplement your diet. And so, do you know how to forage mushrooms and wild greens and wild roots and stuff that are edible and medicinal? This is something you can learn. Okay, now, these are actual physical things that you can get that are usually free. And I'm going to list several of them. I've got two. This takes up 2 spots, but I'll just list through a few of them. Small condiment packets, tomato, ketchup, mustard, salsa, hot sauce, salt, pepper, that kind of stuff. You go to a restaurant or wherever and you get some. Whatever's extra, keep them. They don't last forever, but they do last quite a while, especially if they don't get hot. And if your bug out bag or your get home bag or just your general prep supplies, food is a lot of just beans and rice, cooked beans and rice can get old real fast. And it's very blah, but cooked beans and rice with some good salsa mixed into it, it's not too bad. It actually tastes like a pretty doggone good meal. And so having little packets like that to stick in a backpack, your little survival kit, food kit or something, can make freeze-dried food or emergency food much more palatable. And usually you can get those things free. Along with that, lint from your dryer and toilet paper rolls and old candles, because the 3 of those combined makes an excellent fire starter. In fact, lint on its own is an excellent fire starter. But if you take lint and you put it in a toilet paper roll and you melt some old candles, what's left of the candles, that wax, onto them and kind of cut it up, you have an excellent fire starter to stick in your backpack, your bug out bag, your get home bag, your whatever it is. I've never coming home bag. There's so many bags out now, I've lost track. Another thing that you can also collect that's free is the Walmart and grocery store grocery bags, the plastic ones. There's a lot of different uses for them. I've seen people, I went to a prepper group once, a meeting, and this elderly lady got up there, and I know probably a lot of you might laugh at it, but I'm telling you, it was kind of genius. She gave this class on all the different things that you can use a plastic grocery bag. She showed how to knit them, and she would make raincoats out of them, and she said they're really water resistant. She would weave them together and make outside rugs, like when you walk into your house where you can wipe your feet off of. She did all kinds of things with these plastic grocery bags. These things are filling up landfills. They're horrible for the environment. You can get them as many as you want. Probably everyone's got a bunch. Learn what you can do with them. Do a little research. You can find websites on things that you can use those grocery bags for. So there's something. Also, look for free stuff. Look for free stuff. Facebook, Marketplace, Craigslist, and this is more for the homesteading. But you'd be surprised, and this is very true with a lot of homesteads. Most good homesteads, because if you don't have this, you need to work on it on your homestead. I'm just kidding. Most homesteads have a pile of junk. This isn't stuff they're trying to get rid of. This is their pile of working junk. And a lot of times, you can pick up free stuff to add to your junk. And I'm talking about, scrap lumber, scrap pieces of metal, old barrels. You'd be surprised what people will give away, what people will let you haul off. I had one guy once, he had a pile of junk behind his barn and worked out a deal that I'd haul it off to the dump for him and I could pick out of it whatever I wanted. And I picked out enough stuff out of it that I made a really nice, really large chicken coop out of it. So I figured that that was worth it for me. I worked all day hauling it off and went home and the next day and built a big chicken coop. So don't be afraid to look for good junk. Talk to farmers. You'd be surprised, especially your big farms. A lot of times you can pick up farm animals for a little bit of nothing and sometimes completely free. Especially if there's a dairy farm in your area. They're always producing calves, and sometimes, the mother rejects them, or they just don't have a mother for a calf. They have too many mothers, and they just don't want to mess with them. And so a lot of times you can pick up a little bottle-fed calf for little to nothing, and sometimes free. I've picked up a couple in my lifetime for free. Now, they're usually not the best of animals, but if you're looking for some really cheap animal to raise up to have a little bit of beef or something, I mean, you can't beat it. A lot of times they may have scours, which is a type of bacteria that causes a diarrhea, but it's easy to fix if you know what you're doing. And a lot of times it just takes a little time on, one-on-one time with the animal. And these big farms, they don't have time for that. Maybe you can find, little sheep and goats and stuff that they don't have time to mess with because the mother died or whatever. If you put the word out, you would be surprised. Sometimes you can pick up stuff like that. Last but not least, this is more on the prepping side. Check your gear. Doesn't cost you anything to check your gear. Go through and make sure everything's in working order. Everything's clean and ready to use in a moment's notice. Inventory your supplies. Doesn't cost you anything to go through and check your food stuff. If there's anything that's no good, cans that are bubbled or things that are cracked and oozing or rusting and stuff that you need to get rid of. Doesn't cost you anything to do that. And finally, train with your gear. Practice with it. Pull it out. If you've got a bug out bag, or if you've got gear and stuff and it's brand new still in the package, that's bad. Pull it out of the package. I know it looks cool, but pull it out of the package and use it. Get used to it. Make sure you know what you're doing. Very last thing, and I'll wrap this up. Bartering and trading. Learn how to do it. It's the way people did it for many, many years, for basically since humans, it started existing. We have bartered and traded with people, and it still exists out here in the countryside. And so get used to that again and try it out. Someone that's growing vegetables and you got eggs, trade your eggs for their vegetables or your eggs for their milk or whatever it is. Your services for something that they have. Get used to bartering and trading. Maybe in the future, the only way that you get anything, but certainly practice it and build connections and networks of people that that you can barter and trade with, because it's going to be very beneficial to you now and probably in the future also. All right, folks, thank you all for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.